Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about that Arctic blast that's going to be going on from today, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and maybe even a little bit into Monday. Now, before I get started with this video, though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends and family if they live in the impacted regions. Let's get right into things. The first thing I want to mention here is that I am fairly certain this will go down as the coldest air we see all winter this winter. It's going to be 20 degrees below zero in some areas there in the upper Midwest, so especially up there is going to be a very dangerous situation. Looking at our first frame, this is actually a little bit of a blast from the past. This was yesterday evening around 8 p.m. and look up at Canada there just to the north of Montana, North Dakota, and Minnesota. We see that kind of really purplish shade there. That's what's going to end up being our cool down, which is now in place. So let's move on towards this morning at about 2 a.m. Last night, which is going to be February 13th. This is February 13th, the day I'm making this video. And we see last night that cold air really moved in for Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota. All of these areas being indicated by these very bright pink colors. That's where we're seeing that very potent cold air. That's where we're at about 20 to 30 degrees below average Celsius. I had a lot of people asking me, why are you using Celsius? Please use Fahrenheit. I don't own this. This is by Tropical Tidbits. If there was a Fahrenheit, I would use it, but for now, we only have access to Celsius as far as the temperature anomalies, which is temperatures compared to normal. When we look at the actual temperature, though, it is in Fahrenheit. Now, we're about to move on where we're going to start to see, we're going to finally look at the future here, and we're going to see where that cold air is going to move further south and further east into more of the eastern United States. All right, so we're looking at about 2 p.m. on February 13th, Thursday, and we see those purples and pinks. The pink is kind of dying down a little bit, but it's still very, very potent. We see the purples going all the way down to Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, Michigan, and everywhere in between. And we're seeing those blues starting to enter the deep south. We see very warm temperatures there for the eastern seaboard. And if you live there, I do. It's very apparent that it's warm today. It's 57 degrees where I'm at right now. I just looked at my weather station. And it's just very, very toasty outside. It's only 10 a.m. when I'm making this video, but it's very toasty. Let's move on to the actual temperatures just a little bit here. And this is going to be the same hour. This is going to be by about 8 p.m. on Thursday, February 13th. And we see anywhere within the blue shades, that's where we're below 32 degrees. So we see a lot of areas within this, especially for the Midwest, the central United States, and a little bit of New England as well. It's once we get towards those white and purple shades, that's where we're at below 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, on the actual temperatures, we are using Fahrenheit. So for North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin, and Michigan, we're all below 0, as well as northern Maine there. In those purples and pinks, that's where we're 10 to 20 degrees below 0. So that's where it's very, very dangerous and very potent. And again, this will probably go down as the most potent cold air outbreak of the entire winter, if I had to say so myself. We're about to move on back to the temperature anomalies, and we're going to see that move further and further east until it takes over the entire eastern seaboard by Friday. Now, you might actually be watching this video on Friday. The last temperature forecast I did got a substantial amount of views for 2 days in a row, so there is a good chance you're watching this on Friday. This is the conditions that you would be expecting on Friday, February 14th. We're seeing definitely the purples and pinks there for the upper Midwest, Illinois, Missouri, Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Michigan, and then also for upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and also Maine. But don't discount those very dark blues and the purples down there for Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky. That's still 8 to 16 degrees below average Celsius, which is far below normal. We also see some of that for Ohio, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts. So this is pretty much the entire central United States and eastern United States. You know, this is what we're talking about. And we haven't seen a lot of stuff like this winter, which has disappointed a lot of you. This is kind of what we were expecting to see all winter, and it just never really came into fruition. I'll have a video after we're all said and done with the winter talking about kind of what went wrong. I want to make a video like that a lot because it definitely didn't go the way anybody expected. If you watch forecasts from anybody, we all expected a very cold and snowy winter, and it just got locked in this very unfavorable pattern, and it was very disappointing to say the least. Let's move on and look at those actual temperatures once again. Again, the whites and purples, that's where we're at 0 to 20 degrees below zero. Zero. And we see within those whites and purples there for the upper Midwest again, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Missouri, and then also the Dakotas in through Michigan, Ohio, northern Pennsylvania. This is the nighttime by this point, maybe 6 a.m., so probably the coldest frame. New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine were all below zero there. Now we're about to move on and again look at our temperature anomalies once more, and we're going to take a look as it completely takes over the eastern seaboard by this point. All right, so as you can see here, we see those purples and pinks taking over the northeastern United States, the Midwest, and then down there in the deep south, with the exception of maybe Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida. We see a little bit of yellows and oranges trying to hang on there. You know, I think it is going to be probably below normal at some points, but that area down there in the very deep southeast looks to try to hold on to the warmth, especially southern Florida there, as you can see. But we do see purples for Missouri, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, through Pennsylvania, and then upstate New York and all of the New England states. And that's, again, where we're looking at about maybe 8 to 16 degrees below average Celsius, which is very, very cold comparatively to normal, of course. Again, the deep blues were still 4 to 8 degrees below average Celsius, which is significant. Let's move on one more frame, and this is going to be more towards the morning time of Saturday. So I would say about 8 a.m. on Saturday, February 15th, and we can see those darker blues finally making their way into Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, areas like that, but really the southern half of Florida there still holding on to the warmth, like I said before. But we see those darker blues make their way all the way to Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, areas that have not been seeing it on previous frames, but again, 4 to 8 degrees below average Celsius. We see the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes region still below average, but Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, the Dakotas are warm by this point. New England holding on to the most cold below normal. We see 12 to 20 degrees below average still for those areas by Saturday morning. Let's move on towards this is going to be 8 p.m. on Saturday, and we can see only the eastern seaboard still has cold by this point, below normal temperatures. We see warmer than normal conditions there for the Great Lakes and a bit of the upper Midwest and the deep south, but the eastern seaboard is trying to hold on to it through the day Saturday. Let's move on towards, this is going to be probably about Sunday, maybe 4 p.m. time frame, and we see warmth there for the eastern seaboard and the southeast, but the Midwest, we're getting another cold shot. This is moving into the kind of the medium range, so confidence is a little bit lower with this, but definitely a chance that we do see another cool down after this one. But the first one is a very high chance. It's already happening, so we know it's going to happen. This second one is a high chance, but we don't really know for sure, like 100% certainty. We're about to move on and take a look at what the next frames in that second cooldown have to say about the conditions you could expect in the eastern and central United States. And this is by about 8 a.m. on Monday, February 17th, and we see that warm for the central United States, but cold a little bit for the eastern United States. Definitely not as potent as our first cooldown on the second one. As it moves on, it kind of weakens on the models as of right now, but again, a lot could change. This is still the medium range. It's 100 hours out, so that's pretty far. This is by Monday of next week. So, you know, it's still kind of in that extended range where we're not too certain. I just wanted to show it because there is that chance, and a lot of people ask about what's going to be happening in the medium to long range, so I just thought I would go into that extended forecast. But as you can see, this is by 2 a.m. on Tuesday, February 18th. We start to see warmer temperatures move in, like far warmer than normal conditions move into the central United States and the deep south. And then by Wednesday, that reaches the eastern seaboard, but maybe another cool down coming into the upper Midwest by 2 a.m. on Wednesday, February 19th. So it's all over the place. So after this big cool down, the models as of right now look to have kind of a flip-flop pattern all over the place, not really knowing for sure what they want to do with it. It could be a lot more consistent than what they're calling for right now. This is going towards 144 hours out, so we're getting into the long range. But very interesting stuff. They're looking for kind of an all-over-the-place pattern, which is my least favorite. I like consistency. as far as what I prefer to be feeling, but yeah, they're expecting conditions to be all over the place. And we're not going to go any further than Wednesday, 2 a.m., just because that would be getting kind of very far long range. I'd like to invite you to join our Facebook group. It's been a couple of days since I've shouted it out. It's called Weather Freaks on Facebook. We just hit 1,600 members. It's becoming a very active community, and I'm very proud of what it's become. So I'd like to invite you to join us. That's going to be in the comments and the description down below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends and family, and I will see you guys in the next video.